What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Daniel's Ledger, sports betting tips and picks for sports bettors. I'm your host, Daniel Cameron. It's good to be here. Today, we have a very, very special guest. Very excited to be on his podcast. I was humbled enough to be on his podcast yesterday. His name is Ryan Flowers. He does the Clutch Sports podcast, and I'm just going to go ahead and bring him in now. Ryan, why don't you promote yourself, tell people where they can find you, give them a little background to my viewers, and just say whatever you want to say, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, Daniel, thanks for having me on, man. Obviously, it was we had a blast last night on my show. So hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Flowers. I am the host and the creator of the Clutch Sports Talk live show on Facebook. Basically, I'm a podcast, I guess, of some sorts, but I also converted into a live show where I have guests, I have live commentary, people coming on, and we're talking about everything sports related, whether it's NFL, basketball, NBA, college basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever sports are playing. If it's two cockroaches competing in something, we're going to be talking about it because it's sports related. So a little background about me. I live in Henderson, Nevada right now. I'm originally from LA, so I'm a Laker fan, but I'm a Cowboys fan, and also I'm a Dodgers fan as well. So kind of an interesting mix up for me. I started this show about right at the onset of the pandemic. So I was strictly audio. And the way it started for me was that I was watching the NFL draft around April or so, and I was just kind of like on my Facebook feed, and I was just reading all this nonsense that people were kind of saying, like fantasy trades or fantasy draft picks that could never actually happen. And so I went on my live and I was like trying to just kind of dispel all of these like just ridiculous things that were happening and what people were saying, and what players should go where, yada yada yada. And long story short, I turned that into an actual podcast, which started on audio strictly, and then I made the jump to just recording on YouTube, and then now I go live every Monday and Wednesday at 5:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And basically, man, we just try to have fun. The whole point of my show is because there's a lot of shows like me out there, and I understand that. And the people that watch me, obviously they're watching for the sports, topics and the information, but I'm trying to be as real as possible. I'm not going to be up there giving you blowing smoke up your butts and fluffing it up. I'm going to give you an exact perspective on both sides of the story, because at the end of the day, you're going to have your own opinion, which is fine. And I totally respect that. And so that's the basis premises of my show. But again, thanks a lot, man, for bringing me on today.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome. And you know what? You should check out a show because I actually really enjoyed it. That's when I don't even know how I found you. I found you on Instagram somehow.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because
I started watching and I was like, this guy's, well, like I said, I nicknamed him Mr. Dynamic.
Right,
I was like, this guy's dynamic. He's entertaining. And I started watching, and then I hit him up and was like, hey, let's do something.
Actually, I remember it was a Sunday morning a few weeks ago. I was doing my my Sunday morning like wake up preview of the games matchup, and you hopped in on the live and you requested, hey, can you come on? And I think after that we stayed in contact, and boom, we had a show last night, and obviously we're here today.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So first of all, let's I'm throwing you a little curveball. I was over at my buddy's house, and he's like, hey, talk about the national championship game on your show. So I was like, all right, so let's talk about Ohio State, Alabama, Monday college football championship. After that, we're going to get into NFL playoffs. But go ahead, tell me, what do you think, what's going to happen in this Ohio State versus Alabama game?
Well, I think the game is going to be a lot closer than maybe what people think. I think right now it's like Alabama's like maybe a 7.5 favorites, if I'm not mistaken, but they're the favorites, obviously, as they should be. You got the reigning Heisman Trophy winner now in Devontae Smith, Mac Jones, who was also a finalist. You have some other, really talented players on the Alabama side of the ball. Of course, you got Nick Saban, who's basically, if not one of the greatest college coaches of my lifetime, if anyone's lifetime. Alabama is looking really good. They really, 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 to me, at first, I didn't think they were that good this year, given all the situations with COVID. I thought Clemson was a lot better, but obviously Clemson, we know what happened to them. They're a very aggressive, physical style team with athletes all over the field. And with that said, I think Ohio State, to me, even though they may be a little bit undermanned, I think their left guard is still missing, or he won't be able to play the game. Justin Fields is maybe nursing that hip or rib injury somewhere. But I still think that with the dynamic play of Justin Fields and his wide receiving crew, they can make the game a little bit more close than what people think. Because if anything that we do know from the past games that Alabama has played in where they've lost and struggled, they've actually struggled a lot against mobile quarterbacks, a la Deshaun Watson, a few times in the national championship game. And actually, this is like a funny stat is that, anytime they've went wire to wire number one in the beginning of the AP poll and they ended up making a college championship, they've lost the game. So I don't know how big of a factor that's going to play, but I think Ohio State has a lot to prove still, even though after that win against Clemson, they're going to come out, they're going to make a statement. I like the running back in the backfield. What's his name? Sermon, I think his last name is. He's really running the ball really well. He's like a little baby Derrick Henry. He's really big, nice size. I think he's like 6'2", 230, 240, just a real bruising back, which they're going to need against Alabama's front line, because Alabama's front line, I mean, they're producing defensive linemen like it's a factory. Now, this year they don't have really like a big name, but I'll guarantee you this, that front seven is one of the best front sevens in all of college football today. I think the game will be closer, but I still like Alabama pulling it out. Okay.
So you like Alabama. What do you think? Do you think that they can cover 7.5? I know you're not like a sports bet guy, but
I think I don't think they'll cover. I think the game will be closer. I'm thinking they'll win by like 5.
By like 5? Alabama by 5? Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. Geez, I still haven't decided, to be honest, which way I'm going to go on this game. I am definitely leaning right now as Alabama to cover, but I still haven't decided. I a lot of times I'm kind of a late better. I don't always. It depends. In the NFL, I like to bet like as soon as I can. As soon as the line comes out, I want to bet it. But some other things, I like to wait till the last second to bet it. And this is one that I'll probably wait till Sunday night, Monday morning to decide which way I'm betting. But I think I am leaning Alabama to cover that 7.5 right now. But we'll see. It should be a good game, man. You made a lot of really good points. Also, we don't know how Justin Fields is going to be. He's still a little hurt. So, like you said, so awesome. So let's talk about NFL playoffs here. Let's go Colts and Bills. Sure. The first game up. What do you think is going to happen in that game? Buffalo's favored by 7, but who do you think is going to win the game? How do you think it's going to play out?
Right. So Buffalo, I mean, arguably is, if not the hottest team in the NFL going into the playoffs right now. Like, undeniably, I don't think anyone could disagree with that. Josh Allen has pretty much put himself on this pedestal to be considered at least a finalist for the MVP consideration. Stephon Diggs, arguably, if not one of the best wide receivers. I think he's leading the league in receiving yards this year. There's no one has a matchup for him. No one can cover him. Now, you look at Indianapolis. They've been kind of up and down. Their defense has played well in some spots, and sometimes they haven't been. So they've struggled a little bit. Now, they're coming into this game with a huge chip on their shoulder, as they should. I get it. But realistically, could you really, get on anyone for really picking Buffalo? Because, I mean, like I said, they're the hottest team in the NFL. And one thing we know, I don't care, at least in the last 15, 20 years since I've been watching NFL football, the teams that play the best in December, they usually tend to go on these runs in the playoffs because they're playing good football. I thought that they didn't peak early. They peaked just at the right time. And like I said, there's still questions for me with Indianapolis. I know Phillip Rivers is still kind of getting the job done, but I don't know if they're going to be able to match up with their offense and Josh Allen the way he's been playing. And honestly, what I will say about Buffalo is, though, they will have this game pinned in their minds because of what happened last year against in the Wildcard against Houston, where they blew like a 16-point lead to the Texans in a game they should have actually won. I'm pretty sure those guys are remembering that moment and that feeling. And I think in the end of the day, I think Buffalo is going to end up winning this game quite convincingly.
Yeah, I think so too. They did just come out today that Stephon Diggs is questionable for the game as well as Cole Beasley, but I could see Cole Beasley maybe missing. I don't see Stephon Diggs missing. I think he'll be all right. It might be a ploy from the Bills.
Right.
I know he is a little bit banged up, but I don't see him missing.
Me neither.
Rams at Seahawks. As you know, the quarterback's still questionable for the Rams. We don't know what's going to happen there.
Right.
Vegas likes Seattle -4. What do you think? I know you agree with me. It's probably going to be a low-scoring game, but what do you
Yes.
think might happen in this game?
Well, it all depends. To me, the biggest question of this game is, will Jared Goff play? Because this is where I'm going to pick the Seattle Seahawks to win, but I will give maybe a slight chance to the Rams if they decide to go with Walford, because here's the thing. No one has a lot of tape on this guy. Seattle hasn't played him already. They don't know what he's like in live action. They've seen Jared Goff for a couple of years now. I feel like with Walford's mobility and able to run and get outside the pocket, I think that really flows well with what Sean McVay wants to do on offense. So I think if they go with Wolford, I think his name is, they have a slight edge. But at the end of the day, I know Russell Wilson in their offense really hasn't been playing the best, but Russell Wilson is a gamer and their defense is playing a lot better. And they have a healthy backfield with Chris Carson. He's not fumbling the ball as often as he was earlier in the season. I still like Seattle in this spot. I know there's going to be an upset this weekend, but I don't think this is really an upset, even if the Rams do win the game. But I'm going to go with Seattle in this one, Daniel.
Yeah, this is a stay away from me. I don't know which. It's a tough one, but I would have to say Seattle most likely is going to win, especially being at home. That's going to give them a little advantage. Even though there's no crowd, it still gives a slight advantage.
Right.
The next one is the Bucks at Skins or Washington Football, whatever you want to say. I still call them that. Until they get a name, I'm going to call them Skins. I'm not going to call them football.
Right. The football team.
As soon as they get an actual name, I'll call them whatever they want to be called. But right now, they're still the Skins to me. So Bucks at Skins. I don't mean to offend anyone or whatever, but Bucks at Skins. What do you think about this game? What do you think is going to happen? Vegas has Bucks favored by 8.5, something like that.
This is my upset of the weekend. I think, and this is a long shot, and I get it. People are probably like what? Like, stop the presses. Really, you think the Washington football team is going to beat Tom Brady, a team with no name? Yes, I believe so. I think this is a potential kind of a trap game, I think, for Tampa Bay. Now, I granted, they've been playing a little bit better. They've kind of found somewhat of an identity in the last couple of weeks with Antonio Brown seeing more passes. Gronk is being more involved in the offensive play calling. And I think that Tom Brady has actually kind of put his stamp on the offense, whereas in the beginning, Bruce Arians had really had more of a say in what was going on with the offense. So Tom Brady does look a little bit more comfortable, but the only thing I will say the Washington football team has going for them is that pass rush is legit. I mean, the Washington football defense is really good, and you can't deny that Tom Brady struggles the most. And matter of fact, any quarterback struggles the most when you play an elite defensive line. And Chase Young, I know he called out Tom Brady. He kind of clarified what he was talking about, but he didn't regret saying what he said. He wants a chance to play at Tom Brady. Who doesn't want to go at the GOAT? And I think in the end, this game is going to be kind of like a slogger knock fest. I think, Washington's football team, they're very gritty. They're grimy. They just kind of keep everything close. They're going to battle their way through. I think Alex Smith has done a great job. He's probably should be offensive comeback player of the year again. If he's won that award again, I forgot. But now the thing is that they're going to have to hold Tom Brady, and that team down to a low scoring point total. But that's going to be the hard part. But I think they can. They're going to be at home. I like the Washington football team to kind of sneak this one by.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hot take, man. But hey, I mean, I've said all along that the talent on these two teams is closer than what people think.
Yes.
There could be some key entries for the Bucs, Mike Williams, and I can't remember who else, but there's a couple
Mike
injuries.
Evans. Mike Evans. Yep.
Yeah, Mike Evans, and there's somebody else too. I can't remember all their injuries, but there's a couple of injuries that you'll probably want to look up and make sure you're mindful of. At the end of the day, I just don't see the Skins keeping up in scoring. That's me.
That's the biggest question.
I like the Bucs just because I don't think the Redskins can score enough points. And I mean, shoot, they would have lost to Jalen Hurts had them not taken them out. So they might not even be in the playoffs. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I got to ride with the Bucs in this one. But I understand, man. I understand, and I don't put it past the Skins to win the game. Ravens and Titans.
That's my upset pick of the weekend. It's the only one that I really have as an upset because I don't think every favorite is not going to win this weekend, and it really never happens that way. So there's always that one game. I think this might be the game.
Yeah, and you could very much be right. The next one is the Ravens and Titans. Vegas has Ravens at -3.5, -4. What do you think is going to happen in this? This is a big heavyweight fight. What do you think is going to happen?
This one I went back and forth. I said Titans one day, then one day I was like Baltimore. Honestly, my heart tells me the Tennessee Titans because I feel like they have the game plan to kind of combat what Lamar Jackson does. I mean, he's lost to them the last 2 times. And I mean, obviously the last time was closer, but then last year that playoff game was horrendous. They basically got their doors blown off of them at M&T Bank Stadium, at home when they were like the number 1 seed. Now Tennessee's defense isn't as formidable, but I feel like they know exactly what it takes to slow him down. And they have the offense too. I mean, Derrick Henry gets a lot of pub. Obviously he's the 8th running back in league history to run for 2,000 yards. But they got some decent wide receivers out there. AJ Brown, Corey Davis. They can move the ball pretty effectively. The biggest question for me for the Baltimore Ravens defense is, are they healthy enough now? I know Calais Campbell missed some time throughout the year and people were able to run the ball on him. If he's healthy, this is going to be the game they need. They're going to really need all hands on deck because Derrick Henry is going to get at least 25 to 30 touches in this game out of that backfield. This is going to be a low scoring game, I think. I don't think there's going to be a lot of offense because both teams are going to be posturing back and forth. But I in my heart of hearts, I'm going to go with Tennessee in a close one.
Yeah, and you say it's going to be low scoring. It's interesting. It's the biggest total of the week, 55. But I'm with you. I think it's going to go under 55 without a doubt. Yeah. So you said you like the Titans?
I like the Titans. I'm going to go with the Titans.
Go with the Titans, yeah. I think I'm going to go with the Ravens in this one. But that's another underdog as well, the Titans.
Right.
But, I mean, if anyone's going to – I just think that this is the one matchup the Titans probably don't want because if anyone's going to man up and tackle those big boys, it's going to be the Ravens. So, see what happens, though. It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be very interesting. Good coaches in this game as well.
It's going to be a good game. I mean, there's no doubt about that. This game, and Baltimore got some injuries too in their secondary as well. Jimmy Smith, I think he's questionable for the game. They're missing some guys still too. Ngakoue, he's questionable as well on the defensive line. So there are some injuries on the Baltimore side that really kind of concern me there as well.
Yeah, and this is kind of random, but I think we could see a fake punt in this Ravens-Titans game as well.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, let's go on to the Bears and Saints. Bears at Saints. The Saints are about a 10-point favorite.
Right.
What do you think about this game? I mean, this is another one where I think it's closer in talent than people think, but what do you think about Bears and Saints?
I will say this. I think defensively, the Bears are just as good as anybody in the league. I think the biggest drop for them is the offensive play. Their chance of winning this game, their best chance of winning this game is if they allow Mitch Trubisky to kind of roll and move the pocket out a little bit. Because if he stands up there and is stagnant, they're going to get to him because that's not his game. Obviously, the Saints have one of the best rushing defenses in all of football. As of late, it was kind of inconsistent. But I feel like they're going to be at home. Michael Thomas, I think, is activated for this game. I know he missed the last couple of weeks just because they want to shut him down and get him ready. And Chicago, really, they don't really have an answer for Michael Thomas. Alvin Kamara should be good to go, I think, if he tests negative here for the game on Saturday. Or this is Sunday game. So excuse me, Sunday game. But like I said, the Bears, I agree with you to a certain extent about the talent on the field, but only on the defensive side. I think they have playmakers on the defensive side, but other than Allen Robinson, I don't really see anybody else for the Bears that can really make a real big dent in this game. I think the spread is kind of on point. I think it's -10 you said. I don't really see the Bears winning this game at all.
Yeah. I don't either. I think it's just a bad matchup for the Bears, to be honest.
It is. It definitely is.
Browns and Steelers, a lot of stuff's coming out now. They haven't practiced all week. For the Browns, haven't practiced all week. The head coach isn't going to be there. Alex Van Pelt, he's called a lot of games. He called games for Buffalo back in the day. He called games for quite a few teams. He's a good coordinator. But I still think it's going to make a difference not having Kevin Stefanski on the sideline. And what's interesting is the line's not moving. It's staying Pittsburgh -6. So what do you think is going to happen in this game? This is the one I think that the talent is much further than Vegas gives credit for. But
well, I mean, you can't. It's hard to not have your head coach, and then who also in return is the play caller on the team, and you're going into the biggest game of the year with a young quarterback. Obviously, I don't think Cleveland Browns style will change per se because they are what they are. They are really, they're a running team, and that's what they are. So that's not going to change at all. Like if everyone's thinking that's not going to change. What I think will mess them up is game situations. Will Alex Van Pelt really have a good feel on what to call in certain situations, and especially in a game like this? This is a playoff game. So I think their style will stay the same. They're going to get what's his name? Chubb the ball a lot. Kareem Hunt will touch the ball a lot. They're going to try to play action. That's what they're going to try to do. But in the end, I think Pittsburgh, granted, they lost the last game of the year to these guys, but they didn't play a lot of guys. And Pittsburgh is still hurt at the linebacker spot. This team right here, man, it sucked to be them because not only did they have injuries, because you can't say, well, injuries played a big part, but every team has injuries. But there's no team in the league right now that I can think of off the top of my head that can say that injuries have impacted like literally one entire unit, which is their linebacking crew, right? So they still got Cameron Hayward in there. They still got TJ Watt. Fitzpatrick will still be back there. Minka will be back there. I think at the end of the day, I think that the Steelers will win this game based off of their offensive prowess. This one could be a shootout, I think, at the end of the day, just because I think the Browns will be able to kind of run the ball, maybe get some play action going, but I still like the Steelers in this game to win.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Steelers to win. I like the Steelers to cover. Baker said today that practice wasn't going to affect anyone, but I don't know. Maybe it won't affect him, but it's going to affect some of them.
Right.
But I agree, Charles. This is going to be a good one. Thank you for the comment. And shout out to my boy, Monroe, good friend of mine, Who Dat Nation, big Saints fan. So shout out
Charles
to
Harris, man. Charles. He's a big Cowboys fan. I know him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's your guy right there. Thank you for showing up. And sorry about your Cowboys.
Hey, it is what it is. I'm used to it, man. I've been a fan since I could walk. So I'm used to it. I'm used to it already.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big Bills fan, and you guys beat us in plenty of Super Bowls. So, yeah, man, you guys. I still say that Cowboys team was the greatest team ever assembled.
Which one? Which year?
The 90s. The
when
they beat the Bills when they had
it was either 92, the 92 one when we won in the Rose Bowl, and then the year after was I think the 93-94 team when they won in the Georgia Dome against you guys.
Yeah. When you guys got Dion, that was like the best team right there. You had Charles Haley, Dion, the House,
that's all
the best left tackle.
That's all before salary caps in the NFL.
That was insane, man. That was an insane team.
But the Bills had really good teams too. I mean, it's just
we did.
Look at the draw. When you look at that team, you're like, wow, Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith, what's his name? I forgot his first name, but his last name was Talley, the linebacker.
Dale Talley, Spider-Man.
What's the other receiver's name? He's
Andre Reed.
Andre Reed. I mean, those are really good teams. The fact that they made it to 3 Super Bowls in a row, and I get it, you want to win the whole thing.
We got 4 in a row.
Right, 4. That's not easy to do. And I get it.
It will never happen again.
It'll never happen again. It can't. No. It's just too much variables, man. And Charles Harris said, right, they should at least won one. And it sucks that they didn't, because those teams, man, they'll go down in history for being not able to win it all. But those were really, really, really good teams. And unfortunately, the closest one you guys had to was against the Giants. And
the Giants. We should have won the Giants. We should have beat the Redskins too, man.
Charles Harris says
the Cowboys will say we had no shot, but
he says Charles Kelly. He says Jim Kelly was the best quarterback, never won a Super Bowl. I disagree. I think Dan Marino is probably the greatest quarterback of all time. Better than Joe Montana, better than all those other guys. He just didn't have the teams I mean, who was he really throwing to? I know some of these guys, I'm telling my age, I'm 37 years old. So I've been around a little bit. And I mean, I'm like a football historian, right? But Dan Marino, for those of you who never seen Dan Marino play, one of the quickest releases ever you have ever seen. It was like a gunfighter at the OK Corral, right? If you know that movie. I know I'm telling my age tonight, but it is what it is. But Dan Marino is probably arguably the best quarterback to ever play football. He just never got a ring.
Well, he had that 5 wide spread, man. I love Dan Marino, dude. I was a big even as a Bills fan, I was a big Dan Marino fan.
Right. I mean, he was ahead of his time. And even in college, I seen tape of him in college at the University of Pitt. He was doing stuff that nobody was. I mean, he was doing stuff that guys are doing today. And I think if he played in today's modern era, oh my God, he'd be throwing for like 10,000 yards a season. I mean, easy. Dan Marino, man, he had the hair, he had the golden tan, he had the isotoners in the Pet Detective movies. I mean, come on, it's Dan Marino, guys.
Oh man, you're cracking me up, man. Oh man, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a little overboard for Dan Marino, but I'm a big Marino fan, but I don't think he's there. For me, it's Joe Montana or Tom Brady for greatest of all time.
I mean, because they've won. They got championships. But I'm just talking about pure quarterbacking. Like, if you just stripped away titles, like, who do you want throwing the ball to you?
Yeah, same answer.
Okay, I just would like. I like Dan Marino. I
love Dan Marino, dude. Actually, growing up as a Bills fan, I should hate the Dolphins, but
they were my
and I do hate the Dolphins now. But back then, when I was a kid, they were my second favorite team. Like, I loved watching Dan Marino, the 5 wides,
Irving Fire. I mean,
all those guys. Yeah, dude. I was a big Dolphins fan actually too. In fact, I even somebody bought me like a Dolphins chessboard, even though I was a Bills fan once, and I used to play chess on it. But so I mean, I love Dan Marino, but Jim Kelly, the best to never win a Super Bowl. I don't know if that's true or not, but I like the answer.
He's on the list.
I like the answer. Yeah, he's definitely on the list. I love the answer.
He's definitely on the list.
Yeah, those. Yeah, 2 things. When I look back at those times, there's 2 things. 2 reasons why the Bills didn't win. One, I think we needed better safety play, cornerback play. We never had anyone to guard the receivers like Art Monk or Michael Irvin or the different ones. So for me, it was the corners. And then the second reason is Jim Kelly choked every game. I hate to say it, but he did.
Well, he got hurt against that in the Cowboys one, the first one, so he got hurt.
Well, the Cowboys, we had no shot, man. But the other 2, we should have won.
The second time you guys did, because you guys were up in that game, and the Cowboys came back and won that game.
Yeah, and the Bills talk about that when I've heard the Bills and Cowboys both talk about how the Cowboys were going in the locker room feeling defeated.
Yeah,
and then they looked over at the Bills, who were also walking in the locker room, and they're like, "Oh, they're gassed. They don't." We got this in the second half because they're gassed or whatever, and sure enough, the Bills were they just gave it up.
Now can I ask you something, Daniel? So you're a Bills fan. Do you go head first into tables and stuff like that? Do you dive off of tables? Are you part of Bills Mafia?
I don't. If I was at one of the games, I might. I actually met the famous. Actually, I've met him a few times. Every time I meet him, I have him sign my jersey, but. Pinto Ron, he's a famous Bills tailgater guy. He's the one that gets the ketchup and the mustard on him.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
And ESPN was doing a special on him, and I actually got in the special with them one time.
Oh, nice.
And, but, yeah, whenever I go to a Bills game, I always run into Pinto Ron. I have him on Facebook and everything. I'm like, hey, where you at? I go to this tailgate and stuff. It's quite the tailgate. But, no, I don't I never have, but I mean, if somebody was like, jump through the table, I'd probably do it.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Sure, why not?
I couldn't do it. I'm not doing that. But, I mean, more power to everyone that's doing that out there in Bills Mafia. They're probably one of the best fans in all of football. I mean, they're up there.
I'll tell you what, even if you're not a Bills fan and you go to a game where the Bills are playing your team, just buy a cheap Bills hat and walk through the crowd. I guarantee you'll get by the time you walk through the tailgate, you'll have 6 beers in your hand. They'll just be handing them to you, man. They're the best fans anywhere, man. Like if they see it's, I'll tell you what, Bills is like a fraternity. Anywhere you
Right.
go with a Bills shirt, even in Arizona or anywhere I've ever been, if somebody has a Bills shirt on, they'll just come up to you and be like, "Hey,
It's like,
Bills!"
right. It's like
And
you're in a
I
fraternity
do the
or
same.
something.
I do the same thing to them too. I mean, I don't see that with other fan bases, but it's such a close fan base. It's crazy. And
Right.
everywhere I go, I see the same Bills fans, like that rap song. Everywhere I go, I see the same old hoes. It's the same thing with the Bills, man. Everywhere I go, I see the same fans. But
Crazy.
hey, well, thank you for coming on. Go ahead
Absolutely.
and promote yourself some more.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys
tell
can
the
catch
people what you got going on.
Oh, so for me, so right now I'm in the works of, so I'm signed with All Pro Digital Sports. We're a sports media content distributor. I'm one of the personalities there. Right now, we are working on a show called All Pro Access. We just aired our first pilot show this past Monday with my co-host Jack Ridnour, who also has a podcast called Riding the Pine that covers baseball and other sports topics such as that nature. So that's going to be a show that we're going to be doing together. That's here on the horizon. I will continue to be doing my shows, Clutch Sports Talk, live on Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you guys can catch me on Instagram at clutch.sports.talk. That's mainly where you can catch me, because if you go there, you hit the link in my bio. I have all the links to everywhere else that I'm at. But make sure, if you remember anything, get me on YouTube. I need some more subscriptions. I'm trying to get to 100. I'm at 68 right now. So I'm trying to get there slowly but surely. But I appreciate you guys supporting me. Daniel, man, good looking out for having me on tonight, man, and staying in touch. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I'm also pushing 400. So you guys help me get to 100, and I'm going to give out a 1 week of free plays to everyone on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. So when that happens, and what was your YouTube again? It's Clutch Sports.
Just if you search Clutch Sports Talk, I'm literally the first person that comes up.
Yeah. So follow him as well on YouTube.
Super easy.
Subscribe, click the bell, do all that stuff for him.
Yep.
He's awesome. He's Mr. Dynamic. Thank you so much for coming on. And that will conclude the show. Thank you guys so much. And as always, let's make some money. Let's have some fun doing it.